Okay, in today's class, I'm doing two demos. I felt like there needed to be a review of rolling out acrylic paint and applying it to the Gelli Plate. And I also wanted to do, what was it, the exercise where if you have dried paint on your Gelli Plate, then you put another layer and pull the whole thing off. I liked the results I was getting. So what I did ahead of time is I did some stamping, and I don't know what this is. It's with the silicone brush. I did some little squares. This whole thing is dry. Now I'm going to apply another coat of, it's a lighter blue. I'm trying to use up my phthalo blue paint here. I am going to add a little bit of the slow dry medium. It's still hot today. First, I'm going to mix that in. Now, I hope this works. Okay, so rolling out the paint. Now I've got a big glob there. So I kind of roll and lift lightly. I want to get the whole surface with an even coat. And I remember watching some of my elementary students, and they would do this thing where they'd press really hard and roll. That's not really going to do anything. You want to lightly roll back and forth. Again, the cooking analogy, almost like you're rolling out dough, okay? Then I take that, same thing, roll across lightly and lift. Get some more paint, same process, very lightly, roll across, roll across. Now I'm going to go the other way. Not pushing down too hard, otherwise I'm going to get lines. And there may be times you want to intentionally do that, but for now, I think it's important to know how to get an even coat. I'm making this a little bit thicker. I want it less transparent. So I'm not pushing down really hard. Okay, now take my paper, and you can smooth it with your hands, or now I am rolling kind of hard with the sprayer. So I want to make sure to pick up all of that paint. Fingers crossed, hope this works. Oh, interesting. Not so much. Maybe it's not working because it got too dry. I don't know. It worked last week. It picked the whole thing up. I'm going to try rubbing harder. So technically that should have worked. That's what we did last class, but maybe it dried too long. I don't know. Wow, not really happening. Let me give it one more go with a different color, see what happens. This happens sometimes. I think what I'll do is, if this time doesn't work, I will make a video with it. But I think you get the concept. Now I'm just letting those colors blend on there. Yeah, not so much. It's not really pulling this turquoise up. Now, not to worry, this I can soak this and it will come off. But maybe what I learned here is you can let things dry, but not for too long. Okay. Okay, part 2 of the demo. So all of these were printed on my Gelli Plate last week. That's a lot of material. And if we're going to make new compositions with it, it could be pretty overwhelming. So what I did with these clips is I arranged all the blues together and I fanned them out. So I can flip through almost like those paint swatch things from the paint store. Okay. So this might be a nice way to organize your pieces, and then later you don't have to have it fanned out. It could just be in a pack like this. Otherwise it can get pretty overwhelming, the amount of material. So I got blues, I've got sort of my neon pinks. You can also arrange things by texture if you want, texture pattern. Okay, now, where do we begin? Where to begin? So we've got all this material. What I did ahead of time is I spent a bit of time on this. So kind of filtered through these and looked for pieces that might already have a compositional structure in it. So like this one does, okay. Some it's just more straight pattern or texture. There's not really a composition there. So looking for ones that might already have a compositional structure. And I've got 2, and I'm working small, like Kurt Schwitters. So this is the one I think I ended in one of the classes I ended on, and it was the technique I was trying to do of pulling old paint off a section of the Gelli Plate. I wasn't even trying to compose this, but there appears to be a bit of a composition there. This is it's about 1/3, 2/3. And then I got geometric, kind of interesting empty space here, and then this circle. So, and this is the part that takes some time. And the first class, I know we did that continuous line and then connecting the pieces. Some people really didn't like it. Others did. For some, I think it's easier to just directly paint versus moving all these pieces around, but I think there's value in it because you're figuring out how to create a composition. So let me turn this around because I had something figured out and I wanted something neutral behind this so it didn't compete. That's like my focal point. So this is text from my German grandmother's old recipe book. Love the handwriting. That makes a nice neutral background. I had this planned out and I'm trying to remember what I did. Oh, okay, now I know. I had this under here. There we go. There we go. This under here, this over here. It was something like this, okay. And then this is going to go somewhere here. And this was a piece of cardboard that I actually printed texture on my Gelli Plate, but I saved it. And what I did is I took I have a wooden rolling pin and I flattened all of this down, and I'm going to use this little strip. Okay, so this seems like a pretty good arrangement to me. And the first thing I need to do is start gluing some of these pieces down. Now, it can get kind of confusing. So if you have a composition you like, you could take a photo with your phone just to remember your layers. Now, I don't need that whole sheet of paper. I'm going to cut some of this out. Because I can save that for something else. Okay, so I'm going to use my Mod Podge glue.
Laura,
Yeah.
I have a feeling you did not record this. Were you intending to?
I,
Or is it on? Did you do it?
I'm recording right now.
Okay, oops, so sorry.
No, it's all right. Okay, so, and I double checked just to make sure. Yeah, it says recording now. So these foam brushes are great because the Mod Podge will destroy your regular brushes. It glues like a rock. If you don't have Mod Podge, you can use Elmer's, that's fine. Okay, so, and I'm choosing to do these compositions on a small canvas today. We will be going larger. So usually I put my piece down and then I put a piece of deli paper, and then you can use a credit card, or I have this Bondo scraper I got at the hardware store just to get a good seal. That's going over the edge, so I'll trim that. Okay, I think this was, yeah, this was next. Okay, same thing. And I liked a little bit of that paper edge tearing and revealing that underpainting. Again, scraping everything down. And then sometimes I can just rip this by hand, actually. Okay. I need a little extra glue. Okay, and I can trim this up later. I can flip it over maybe with an X-Acto knife. Okay, so there's that. Then I'm going to put this in, and I thought a diagonal would be a little more dynamic. I think I'm going to trim off that top edge, and I could do that with scissors, or if I want a more jagged edge, I can crease it by hand and then rip it. Now, if I rip down, it's kind of hard to see. If I rip down, I'll see just color. If I rip up, I should get some white paper. So I'm exaggerating that so you'll see it. So if I rip up, I'm going to get a little bit of the white of the paper. And if I rip down, just the color. Now I might change this. I can either go this way with that at the top, or I can go I think maybe I'll go this way. These are those subtle. So this is, we're composing. It takes time. This is where it gets kind of persnickety. Because I'm on the clock, I'm just kind of winging it here. Okay, that has a nice smooth feel. So this composition has, it's very soft and a lot of neutrals. The red is probably has the most pop. Okay, I'm going to put this. Okay, so now I've got my structure. Probably maybe want some more contrast of red. I could even do something in here. I could bring in more text, or maybe it'd be nice to have, just gonna do some made up text with my China marker, like a bigger version of what's in the background. So this is where risk comes in. Like I just did that. I don't know if I love it or not. If I don't, then I start the painting process again. And I think it's nice to have several of these, because sometimes you just don't know. You need a little break, and then you come back and you add more. Like, I don't know if I love that. This is where I would then possibly, if I want to keep that color, because I have these all organized and I've looked at them, I kind of have it in my mind. See, I like that. So maybe I'm going to add that instead. And remember, after all, they're just note cards, right? So you can always make more. And I'm just folding and ripping here. Okay. So I put those lines, I didn't like them. Layering this on, I didn't want it to be exactly the same size. I put a little edge around it. Okay, now I think I'm going to end there, but all of this corrugated stuff, I could paint red lines in there if I wanted. I could add a little more pop here. Maybe I'll do that just so you can see, and then I should probably end. So that was a quinacridone magenta. I mean, it could be as simple as that. Boop, just a little boop, done. Trying to use the top edge of my brush just to get a sharp line. It's not cooperating with me. The silicone. Okay, I think there's more, but I think you get the idea. All right. Really,